members of Project Life Coach are with me today, and today we will be talking all about life coaching. And I have Jan Bennett Burks here, who is the visionary for the Life Coach Project. I have Tiffany Miller Harris here, who is a grief coach, and Arnita Ware, who is a wellness coach, a mental health and wellness coach. I'm going to allow the ladies to introduce themselves. This is going to be fantastic. You're not going to want to meet it. Go ahead, Jan, introduce yourself.
Hello, I just want to thank Felicia, Coach Felicia, for having us on today, Project Life Coach. I am Jan Bennett Burks. I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor, a licensed master social worker specializing in mental health and substance abuse. I am a certified master life coach, and I am excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Tiffany Miller Harris. I am a certified grief life coach. I have been a geriatric medical surgical nurse for 22 years, well, 21 years, excuse me. And I work with clients that struggle with infertility and have gone through miscarriages. So that is my area of specialty, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And Miss Arnita.
Yes, ma'am. Hi there. I am so happy to be here, and we appreciate you for allowing us the time to come this evening. But I am Arnita Ware. I am a newly published author, effective last year, August 2018. I still feel new. And my specialty is mental health and wellness, whereas I specialize in sharing with people that it's okay to get help if you need it. It's okay to have Jesus and have a therapist too.
Amen. Let's get that. We all agree with that. We all agree with that. Now, this is kind of taboo, especially in the black community, so I want to jump right in, and I want Jan to share with us, what is a life coach? What does a life coach do? And what is a life coach not supposed to? Like, what is life coaching not, and what is it? Clarify that for the people first.
Okay, a life coach is different from a counselor, from a therapist. I would say a life coach is closer to a mentor, even though it's not the exact same thing.
Okay.
So what a life coach does is walk beside a person to help them with their life struggle, to help them get unstuck. Okay. And that's what we do, is help people to get unstuck. The purpose of a life coach is to empower a person. It's to motivate them. It's to help them to set goals, meet their goals, and even to exceed their goals. A life coach is someone who holds the client accountable.
Yes, I was going to say it. It's like an accountability partner, like with exponentially.
Yes.
Right? So it's not just someone to be accountable for, but they help you along the way.
Yes.
Now, what is a life coach not?
A life coach is not a person who does the client's work for them.
Yes.
A life coach is not a magic pill. A life, well, amen.
Amen.
I love it.
Yeah, a life coach is not a person who judges.
Yes.
They have a non-judgmental attitude. So a life coach is not a person who does all the talking. A life coach has to know how to listen, has to know how to communicate with the client.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Now, when we talk about the benefits of a life coach, for anybody that's out there that's wondering, how do I know I need some support, because people are very aware. Most people are very aware of themselves, of their situation, and many may not be able to articulate it, or maybe they just say, I don't know, I'm stuck. I just can't seem to get out of this rut, or I can't seem to get out of this mindset. Can someone explain to us what are some benefits? What are some benefits that you have found to be of a life coach or of a mentor, someone that's walking alongside you?
Life coaches? So you talked about benefiting the client or benefiting the life coach, because
Right.
both people get a
Right.
benefit.
Well, let's talk about the client for a moment. So if because there are many people who might say, I may need a life coach, what would be the benefits of that, and why should they invest in themselves to get unstuck?
Yeah, so the benefits for the client would be a life coach would help them to get focused.
Okay.
And like I said, set goals, help them to get unstuck if they're overwhelmed with something. And some of them are confused, to help
Right.
kind of reduce the confusion. And just for them to bear themselves, to be able to talk to somebody about, what their dreams and visions are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are not really comfortable with sharing their
Right.
dreams and visions.
Right.
Right.
So a life coach would be a person that you can share those things with, because they're there to help you have a better life.
Right.
And I think one of the benefits of life coaching is to have a better life,
Yes.
to be
To
successful.
be successful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
also, I think as a life coach, we also educate.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I've found that some of my clients are stuck because they just don't know. They don't know what steps to take. They don't know where to go next. So having someone to walk beside them and show them the first step, then the second step, third step, fourth step, it helps them to move along. And they realize, oh, okay, this is all I had to do.
Yeah.
And so it helps them, it really motivates them toward the end.
Right. That's a great point, because even in my coaching, even in my experience as being coach, a coach can come along and help you have a different perspective,
Right.
give you information that you would not have known, because you don't know until you don't know until you know,
No.
and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. And so that's a great point. Thank you for that.
In
Thank you for
addition to that, I was also thinking, just a quick comment. Sometimes people may think they kind of know what they want to do, but they need to bounce it off of someone else to hear really the same thing that they may have thought about, but they needed that little sense of guidance and sense of direction.
Right.
And a life coach can help do that as well.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Now, explain to us the benefits for the life coach.
Okay, so I wrote a couple of these down, and I said it takes the focus off of us, because we don't want to be self-centered.
Right.
And a lot of times if we helping somebody else, we kind of get the focus off of ourselves. Another benefit is that we get to live out our purpose.
Right.
If life coaching is part of
Yes.
your purpose, you get to live that out.
Yes.
We get to encourage people, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Sometimes it
Huge.
even teaches us how to encourage people. Like Tiffany said, how to motivate people.
Yes.
And we learn more about ourselves.
Yes.
Ooh, we learn more about ourselves in service to others, because this is a service.
Yes.
And a service mentality, right? And so, I mean, it's really ministry when you really look at it, and
Right.
so you learn more about yourself too.
Yeah. It helps us to assist others to live in the possibilities.
Yes.
Helps them to live in the possibilities. And it also helps us to see changed lives. And that's exciting to
Yes,
see
it is.
somebody's life change.
true.
And we have had a part in that. Not that we did the work,
Right.
but we were able to help them.
Right.
And the last thing I have is unselfishness. And I think that goes along with what I said at 1st, taking the focus off of us.
Yeah.
Now, I had a question about this when I wrote it down, altruism. Altruism is unselfishness.
That's right.
But I'm not sure if I really agree that we are all unselfish.
Right.
Because if you do something nice for a person, I think you kind of expect to get a good feeling out of that. Not that you're going to gloat in it,
Right.
but when you helping somebody, it's just like, you feel
It
good.
helps you feel better.
It's
It does.
intrinsic.
It does. Yes,
It's
it is.
intrinsic is what it is. Just like if you eat good food, or or like even if you eat something that's good for you, your body naturally reacts
Yes,
to
it
that,
does.
right?
Right.
Or if you get a good night's sleep, you feel great. So I think it's an intrinsic motivation, and
Experience,
maybe
yes.
some endorphins or something are
Right.
released
True.
when you do
Yeah.
something well. I think. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not, but I did.
yeah,
think I
That's
do.
true. I agree with you. I agree with you. I
Yeah,
agree
that's
with
the
you.
feel-good chemical.
That's
Yes,
the
it
feel
is.
good
Yes,
chemical.
it
It
is.
could be, yeah. So that's wonderful. So if anybody is, so again, back to that person who may feel if they need a life coach, why is it important to invest in yourself? Say, Arnita, if a person is having maybe some issues with their mental instability or whatever, why is it worth the time and the money and the effort to invest in yourself for a life coach?
Because you always want to be your best self at all times. And to me, it is worth investing in you. I think that's what's wrong. A lot of people don't feel worthy of investing in themselves. We are guilty of putting ourselves last. Women specifically, not that men don't, but women tend to be caretakers and nurturers of everybody but themselves. And so in this case, with all the stresses of life, stresses of the world, stresses of family, it's necessary to put that time aside and say, you know something, I need some me time.
Yes.
I need some me therapy. I need some me help.
Yeah. And you know what, Arnita, what I think about a lot of times, we talk about self-care.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a lot of people, when you hear self-care, they think about getting their hair done, getting their nails and toes done, getting a massage. But it's not always
limited to
the
that.
outward appearance.
No, ma'am.
We have to invest in our inner selves, get to know who we are.
That's right.
You know,
Because sometimes that outward appearance can be part of your mask.
Yes, it is.
Hello, somebody.
Yes, it is.
That's part of that mask.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I agree
Take off the
completely.
mask.
Right, right.
Yeah, take off
Spirit,
the
soul,
mask.
and body. You
Yeah.
need that whole part of you healed.
Yes.
Not just the outside. Because beauty is only skin deep.
Amen.
Your beauty comes from within.
Yes.
Right.
You could do all this stuff on the outside, but if you have an ugly spirit,
That's true.
forget it.
That's true.
That's so true.
Yeah. We need to be delivered and healed.
And
Yes,
healed.
true. Healing.
Healed.
Healing is really the key.
Yeah.
So it is worth investing in yourself, if for nothing else, but to be healed and to move forward. Get unstuck.
Amen.
Is it true if I were to say a life coach is a person who may work in conjunction with the Holy Spirit? You know, if a person is of faith, to help in that healing process, because as human beings, we need each other. It's great to have another human
Right.
there to talk to
relate.
to relate to, you know, to have someone to empathize
Right.
with you and things like that. But is it safe to say a life coach, we are not healers, but we work in conjunction with the healer, I would think, you know, on a more spiritual level. If we are transforming people's lives through our services, because not everyone can do this.
True.
That's number,
Yes,
true.
that's for sure. You know,
Yes,
a lot of times you have people out there trying to help people, you know, and unfortunately sometimes they're doing more harm than good. And that doesn't even mean if they even are operating under the title of coach, you know, because, you know, in the black community, we go to mama and grandma and auntie and them, and we go to our church, you know, our pastors and our people in the church, but not everyone is
Certified, qualified.
well, I would say
or-
certified, qualified, or called, or have the specific
Sure.
skill
Right.
set.
Right.
Because sometimes you can say, sometimes you just have to sit and listen and receive and really listen to that intuitive thing, you know, in your gut as to when to say it and when and how to say it, you know, because you can break someone's spirit.
True.
Yeah.
So what are some skill sets that you would want to share with people who are either interested in life coaching or who are looking to get one? Kind of share what skill sets that a qualified, a called person to do this would possess.
Okay, so the first thing I would say is we need to have a listening spirit, and not just listening with our ears, but listening with our heart. And I would categorize that as like discernment.
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
okay.
I mean, you may not feel like you have it, but if you're working on the auspices of the Holy Spirit, you know, you do have a level of discernment. So questioning skills would be another one. And we've talked about that, ladies, in our certification. So we need to ask open-ended questions. We need to go deeper with the person. Ability to build rapport. Okay, so we need to make a person feel comfortable. Don't make them feel like you're so holier than thou,
jeez.
you know, that they're not worthy of your whatever.
Right.
So we need to build rapport with them. Make them feel like they're in a safe
place.
Exactly.
That's what I was
a
thinking.
safe place.
Yes.
Oh, confidentiality
Yes, it's
is of
huge.
the utmost importance.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
you get so that you got to be careful who you go to because some people are not there yet as far as confidentiality. We need to have the ability to inspire and motivate. Right? So if you're not motivated, if you're not inspired, it's going to be really difficult for you to inspire and motivate
else.
somebody
That's
else.
true.
And that's not to say that life coaches every single hour of every single day that they are motivated. We're not perfect either, but we do want to be able to motivate people, and that really comes from it's intrinsic.
Yes.
The real motivation, the staying power of motivation does not come from a life coach.
No.
We may be able to motivate you for a while,
Right.
but eventually you're going to have to dig down deep
Deeper,
and get it.
deeper.
A couple more things before we move on. Non-judgmental spirit. Can I get
That's
a
good.
hallelujah?
Yeah, hallelujah.
Okay,
Hallelujah.
non-judgmental spirit, and that's something that I'll be honest with you, I had to work on.
Sure.
You know, we're all growing, but it was hard for me, you know, when I saw certain things to not judge a person and wonder why. You know, okay, good communication, integrity.
Absolutely.
Integrity. Yes. Speak on that, Liz.
And I dropped the mic with a pen on that one. It wasn't a mic, it was a pen.
Yes.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's good. That's
best way
good.
to put it.
We have a comment from Facebook. It says people need to see your transparency
That's where I was
as
going.
well. So you would like to add to that?
I would like to add to that. I believe when you mentioned the word empathy earlier, that's huge, because if you cannot relate to a person, like in my case, I know what it's like to live with mental illness. I'm not talking about what somebody told me. I'm living it. It's a daily experience for me. Is it possible to move forward? Yes. Is it possible to overcome? Yes. All you need to do is get an understanding of what you need to do to take care of yourself. But to have empathy for others, to be transparent, to bare your soul with someone at some point in your life helps you to move forward. So when they come to you to open up themselves, then you can say to them, you know what, I've experienced XYZ, perhaps. You can share just a window of what you've been through.
Right.
So yes, to be transparent does matter.
Yes. I want each one of you, and I will jump in too, and share what is it that a coach has done for you, said to you, any special memory or experience that that changed your life and that you now use or are mindful for now in your life coaching of others. Arnita, you want to start?
Actually, I think one of the most important things that someone has said to me is to learn to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That was huge for me, because I used to feel like I knew I had done something wrong, but I would hold on to it and just hold on to it, and I couldn't move forward. But once I told myself I forgive myself, then it helped to free me, where I could maybe share and talk to someone else and say it's okay to forgive yourself.
Yes. Yes.
I would say don't try to make things happen.
Ah. Ooh.
Whatever is meant for me is for me.
That's right.
If it doesn't happen, then maybe God didn't purpose that
Right.
particular thing for me.
Okay.
So that was the most important thing said to me.
So not getting
Anxious.
Don't get anxious and don't get disappointed when what you wanted to happen
What I
did not,
want to happen,
because
yes.
there's a greater plan at work.
Right.
And maybe it wasn't the right time.
Right.
Could be a delay is not a denial.
Right.
That's right.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I hope my life coach, Berlinda Dorsey, is watching, because she said several things that I will never, ever forget. And one of the things she said was, excellence begets excellence.
Amen.
Love that. Yes.
And, you know, a lot of times, you know, people kind of criticize us for nitpicking and all that type of thing. And she told me, Jan, that's who you are.
Okay.
Excellence begets excellence.
Okay.
Another thing she said was, start where you are.
Right.
You know, I
Like
was
that.
always waiting and waiting and waiting until everything. She said, all your ducks do not have to be in a row. So that
Gotta
gave me
start
so much
somewhere.
hope. That kind of got me going.
Yes.
Yeah, just get started.
Yes,
Just do
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Start
Doesn't have to be
somewhere.
perfect.
Yeah.
And see, my perfection had me stuck.
Right.
Right. Striving to be
weakness,
perfect.
Yeah.
And then we're never going to completely get there, so just do it. Just
Right.
get
Just
do
started.
it.
Yes, do something.
You do something. I love it. Well, I've had several coaches over the years. I didn't know that they were coaches that came in the form of teachers and counselors. But one thing that I have gleaned from both of them is that everyone has worth.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter where they're from, what they did, where they are now, that there is always hope. Another thing that Ms. Johnson taught me was to, when it comes to people who have hurt you, and when you don't understand, you know, the how could they kind of thing, knowing that, helping to see past their behavior to really know that they're really crying out for help, that they have a story too. And that's really what led me to write my new book. I'm working on a new book called I Forgive Myself, I Forgive You. And as I'm going through the pathology of, you know, of my family, I'm seeing generational behavior that and getting my mom, my parents, and even a couple of my aunties to tell their story, because we don't know their story, and you can't break what you don't know.
Right.
Right. And so really to tap into that, and but that's one thing, that everybody has worked, and that that everybody has a backstory. So their behavior is because they're crying out for help because of their backstory.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go now to, I want everybody to tell everyone what their area of, not only their area of specialty, since we've done that, but who would be your ideal client? Jan, who would be your ideal client?
So my ideal client would be someone who is living with a mental illness and who is living with an addiction or a history of addiction.
Okay.
Because I am a therapeutic / recovery coach.
Okay.
So most of my clients would be what they call COPSD, COPSD, co-occurring psychiatric and substance use disorder. That means they have the two things basically going on at the same time.
Dual
Okay.
diagnosis.
Yeah, dual diagnosis, exactly. Yeah, so that would be a person that would come to me. And first thing I would do is determine, you know, whether they have a dual diagnosis or one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would help them with clinical stuff.
And how has your life prepared you to coach that type of person?
Oh, do you have the time?
Just give us a synopsis.
Just a snippet. Okay, so yeah, I'm in recovery 11 years.
Okay.
And the reason I say I'm in recovery is because that's, you know, how it's said, even though I believe I'm recovered
Yes.
with a D.
Past tense, yes.
I was addicted to opiates, and I was addicted to benzodiazepines, benzos. I started out with alcohol, but when alcohol started to kill my buzz, my pill buzz, I dropped alcohol like a hot potato.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, my story is that, you know, I was addicted. I was in a dark place. I mean, it got bad. It got ugly, as they say. And I don't know whether my addiction started first or my mental illness started first. Because I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. So anyway, so I had a dual diagnosis. So that's how I can relate to people. That's how I can empathize with people. I know what it feels like to go through withdrawals because opiates are heroin, morphine, hydrocodone, fentanyl. That's the latest, and y'all need to look that up. FENTENYL. It's the latest trend, and it's killing people like flies.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Nothing like walking in someone's shoes to help them pull you out of the hole.
Yeah. And what I say is, don't judge me until you walk a mile in my moccasins.
In my moccasins, I love it. I love it. I would say my heels, because I'm always in heels.
Okay, those days are far gone for me. Long gone.
Tiffany, who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is someone that has tried for many years to conceive and has been unsuccessful, or someone that has conceived but had multiple miscarriages, or maybe even a single miscarriage. That would be my ideal client.
Okay. And how has your life experiences prepared you to help a client like that?
I have walked the journey of infertility. I have walked the journey of a late miscarriage. I had a miscarriage at 19 weeks. So I understand the pain of infertility and miscarriage. So my ideal client would be one that is looking to get some type of mentorship during their journey.
Okay.
That would be my ideal client.
Okay, thank you for that. Miss Arnita?
Well, my ideal client would be the person that is struggling to determine whether or not they should get help. The person who may know that they have problems with depression, anxiety, but they're not sure if it's okay to go to a doctor or a therapist. That would be my ideal client, because I have been at that point in my life saying, well, I don't need any help. Nothing's wrong with me. But I really did need help. And because my life's experiences have taught me, because of a certain level of stress or because of certain triggers, they send me to the hospital. That tells me I need help. So for me, that's my ideal client. The person who is not quite sure if they really need to seek help. That's the person I'm looking for.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for that.
And one more thing, somebody that looks a lot like me, because we struggle as African Americans. I want to say that. I'm here to help anybody in that area when it comes to mental health and wellness. But because as a tradition, culturally, I would love to see that change in our community.
All right. Talk about the stigmas. Stigmas. What do you know about the stigmas as it relates to mental health?
Well, the stigma is people make you feel like it's your fault because you have a mental illness. It is not your fault. Mental health, for some reason, is not as respected as it should be. We respect people who have cancer.
Wow.
We feel for them, but we don't feel for somebody with a mental illness. I don't understand that. It's the same type thing. It's an illness.
I saw this commercial. They played it once before, and I thought that was a good point. This lady had parked in a handicap parking. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
And people were talking about, look at her. They were judging. She didn't have, and it said not all handicaps are physical or visible.
That's exactly right. So just because you're looking at somebody that's walking upright doesn't mean there's not a disability there.
Right.
Jen, you have any more to share about stigmas?
Yes, especially in the black community, and I said it. Yes, I said it. Okay, so we think if a person is acting weird, that they're crazy.
The language.
The language. We need to change our language.
Correct.
And that's only because we don't understand mental illness. And that's one reason that I moved back to my community, is to help reduce the stigma of mental illness and substance abuse. Now, I don't ever, to be honest with you, in my lifetime, think that we're going to get rid of all the stigma. I just don't think so. But reducing it will make me happy.
And maybe talking about it more like we're doing today. I think that will help. If it's okay to say this, I chose to put my face on the front of my book that talks about mental illness, so people can see, oh, this is somebody that looks like me that's going through the same type thing. Because if you don't put it out there, and it wasn't easy. Let me just say, it wasn't easy, but I made a decision after much prayer to use my own personal face and say, look, God has blessed me. He can help you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something about being naked and transparent.
Yes.
That people can really connect with.
Correct.
I think that's one major thing to be a life coach, mentor, teacher, anything. You know what I mean? You really have to. People are looking for a connection.
Correct.
And the more they feel connected to and with us, then probably the greater chance it is that they're going to do the work and be better for it. You know, for their life to be transformed.
Yeah.
There's also a stigma that comes with infertility.
Yes.
Talk about
and
that.
miscarriage. In our culture, that's what we were. The black woman, you're just supposed to be able to have children naturally, especially if you read about our history with the slave trade. You know, if you couldn't produce, oh my God, you might, that's the end for you.
Yeah.
But I think that the stigma is with infertility and miscarriage just as much as it is with mental illness.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that we reduce the stigma is to educate
Yes.
and to bring awareness, like
Yes,
mental
exposure,
illness.
discussions.
Right.
Open discussions.
Well, I want to open that floor up too about with me, my ideal client would be someone who has experienced childhood trauma. They have issues with worth. They have had issues sexually, like rapes and molestations and things like that. And there is definitely a stigma that goes along with that. A lot of times, like sometimes you'll be watching a show, you know, and they are in breakdown, right? And they'll say, oh, you know, I was molested, and sometimes it's like almost this, you know, here we go again. Yeah, type of thing. But you never know. I mean, especially it is a matter if it's a girl or a boy. That is a intimate thing.
Yes.
That if you have been violated in that way, you have been robbed, something has been taken to you, and that leaves you helpless. Sometimes that leaves you hopeless. Someone posted on Facebook the other day that marijuana is not the gateway drug. I wish I could say it right, but basically it says marijuana is not the gateway drug. Rape and incest. It started listing all of these issues that make you go to that. Yeah, that make you go to that. And I never heard that before. I'm like, you know, because certain things, people deal with certain things in certain ways.
Right.
Yes.
And it's going to show up somewhere.
Yep.
You cannot experience that trauma in your body and in your mind. You know, childhood trauma would be, you know, abuse. Like your mama cannot beat you and mistreat you. You cannot have been abandoned and you know, you hungry on the street and not be affected.
Correct.
It's going to show up.
Yes.
And so the stigma in that is, you know, that happened a long time ago. You ought to just get over it, that sort of thing.
right.
Well, I'm trying to
That's
get
what people
over it,
say.
but it's
That's
stuck
true.
in my body, and I need some help to get it
Right.
out. I'm sorry, I get a little passionate.
That's what they say.
It's true.
Just get over it. I know after
But that's not the way it goes.
No.
Right. I know after my miscarriage, that's what I every phone call that I got, well, you're still a young woman.
You can have another.
You can
one.
have another one.
As if that one didn't count.
Right.
Like what?
Right.
And what gives us that authority to say that?
Yeah.
You didn't experience it. You weren't
lack
there.
of education.
Lack
Yes.
of education. Well, I'll tell you, my niece used to live with me, and she was 8 months pregnant, and she went to a doctor's appointment, and here I was, I'm throwing the baby shower, I'm talking to the belly and everything. She was living with me at the time. She went to a doctor's appointment, and she called me crying, Eddie, they say she's dead, and that she had been dead. But she had been floating around, so we didn't know because her belly had still been moving, right? Yeah. Anyway, the doctors and them, they were going to induce her labor and make her push the baby out. And I said, you have to be out of your mind. I said, because she had had a cesarean with her oldest. I said, you will give her a cesarean. That is a cruel and unusual punishment to make her push that baby out.
That's what I had.
And then I raised sand up in that hospital. And I said, over my dead body, She was so distraught. She was so distraught. You're gonna make her be in labor for hours to push out a dead baby? I think not. And then, I mean, we had to have a funeral. I had to pay for a funeral for this baby and everything.
Yes.
And but anyway, some of the health workers were saying insensitive things like that. You know, because I'd had Destiny up there. Oh, well, you still have one sweet girl, because it was a girl, and we named her Deja. You still have one sweet girl. I'm looking at her like I want to say, get out of here, because you are not helping.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yes, I want to go back real quick to the gateway drug. You said rape, molestation, and
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. But anyway, and I know that there's a percentage. I don't know the exact percentage. A very high percentage of people who get treatment for alcohol and drugs have a history of trauma.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
So a lot of my clients,
And food addiction.
Yes.
yes,
Ooh,
Yes.
food addiction.
yeah,
Okay.
a lot of my clients, not my coaching clients per se, but my therapy clients, my clinical clients, a lot of them, you know, have a history of trauma, and they have self-medicated.
That's exactly right.
And that's what I did. I self-medicated
Self-medicated.
in order not to feel anything, to escape reality.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a huge, huge
That's exactly
problem.
right. And I'm actually taking a mental health dual diagnosis class this semester. And that's exactly what it talked about. Some of the past traumas that people have experienced, the stressors, again, the triggers, causes them to do all these other harmful things
Right.
to themselves.
Self-harm. Yeah, they cut themselves
Yep.
and they carve themselves and they
Overeat.
Right, yeah. Because they're
stumbled
trying to
on
get
OBT.
past that pain. Well, they're trying to get past that pain.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go ahead. So let's go
Yeah.
ahead and put
Yeah.
it out there, because we live in a society where it's either you need to get over it, or there's something wrong with you, or you don't have enough faith,
Oh,
or
boy.
whatever like
Oh,
that.
boy.
So let's just go ahead and talk about it. It's out there because we're here to my motto, my tagline, my whatever, my thing of living is I'm helping build lives and legacy. And so we want to build each other's lives by telling the truth, right?
Right.
And uncovering some stuff. So
Right.
let's talk about that.
let's go.
So you either have to get over it, or you don't have enough faith, or it's not that bad, or it's all.
Or
this-
you
Well,
should be over it by now, is what a lot of people say. You should be
Yeah.
over it
can
by
I
now.
speak from my
Yes.
Sure,
perspective?
sure.
When I was going through my infertility, there was a lack of faith. I had salvation. I was a believer, but my level of faith had not grown to the level that it needed to.
Okay.
And it took someone who was actually one of my patients to tell me it is God's will for you to have children. You just need to get your faith built up. Because she saw that in me. She saw that my faith needed to be
Built up.
built up.
Okay.
So you're saying that what did your measure of faith have to do with your infertility?
Well, from a physical point of view, nothing.
Oh, okay.
But spiritually, I needed to get in my word and start quoting scripture
Encouraging
and
yourself,
studying
yeah.
my scripture so that I could build that faith and believe that it was going to happen. Because I had gotten to a point where, well, maybe it's just not meant
Oh, you
for
had
me.
got to like a hopeless state.
Right.
So it was
That
a
makes sense.
mindset
Right,
shift.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I understand that.
Yeah.
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 So, that goes back to the stigma. It goes back to, I don't really need any help, because God is going to do it all, and people are praying for me. And prayer, don't get me wrong, I believe in prayer.
Absolutely.
It changes things.
Yes, it does.
But my point of view is that God develops therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, life coaches in order to help his people.
Correct. Pastors included.
Exactly. So prayer works, of course. Don't stop praying for people.
Correct.
But some people need extra
More.
help.
More.
They need the human touch.
And that's biblical.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's biblical.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
we're supposed to have godly counsel.
Yes.
We're supposed to pray for one another.
Right.
We're supposed to snatch people from the fire.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's
Thank you.
all biblical.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
supposed to restore.
We're
Correct.
supposed to restore
Correct.
in love.
In
Yeah.
love.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
love.
Yeah.
So it's
In the
all
spirit of love.
biblical.
Yeah.
So we hope that this is helping someone and not knowing, because a lot of people, I know a lot of people even in our church who have had bouts with, depression and things like that, and has had to, had to get outside help. And I believe that should be a service that the if there are people in the congregation, who is faithful, and who the pastor trust and finds what I want to say, faithful and reliable, that it should be a service within our faith community, so that everything doesn't have to be quiet as it's kept.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've heard people say that, believers are not supposed to get depressed. Okay, so but what if they do?
Right. That's
if
the
they
bottom
do?
line.
And it also depends on what kind of depression. It could be seasonal depression.
Correct.
It could be the loss of a loved one
Correct.
depression.
Correct.
I'm not talking about, let's kill yourself. I'm going to stab shoot myself in the mouth kind
Right,
of depression.
right.
And that may happen too.
And that, yes,
It happens.
It may happen too. But you cannot say we're not supposed to, because it happens.
It does happen.
Now what do we do?
And a person shouldn't feel bad because it happens, but because it's been said, well, you're supposed to pray, just get over it. Like
Right,
you said,
right,
you're not
right.
supposed to be depressed. Well, don't be depressed. But I am. What can somebody help me?
Exactly.
because when they say that gets you in a lower space,
Yes, it
because
does.
now not only am
I don't feel comfortable talking
well
to
now
you.
I only feel like oppressed by whatever I'm thinking, and now I'm depressed. But now what you're saying is reverberating through my mind, which means I'm not as saved as I think I am. I don't have the Holy Spirit. All this, I don't have enough faith. All this stuff starts, so that just gets you even at a lower state. And now, and then if there's nowhere for you to go to, no safe place to land, then you are required to pull your own self up, and you cannot.
And maybe that's why some people stay away.
But they say that that the house of the Lord is supposed to be a hospital.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah, it's
be.
not for the well.
Right.
It's
It's
for
for
the
the
sick.
Who said that? Sound like Jesus something.
The
Sound
red
like
words.
Something like he said. He
Yeah.
said, that the well don't need a
Yeah,
physician.
yeah, he was radical.
And you should look for that one that you're not seeing.
Yes.
Something could be going on. Have you thought about checking on that one that's missing?
Right.
Jesus went after the one.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
Sure did. Every time. Sure did. Yeah.
Oh, Jan, share with us about some myths about
Life coaching.
life coaching.
Okay, so there's a myth that coaching is a magic pill, and I think I said that earlier. You think you hire a life coach and your life is just going to just magically, be successful. No. There's a myth that the coach will do the work. No. The coach should never, ever work harder than the client.
Right.
Okay. There's a myth that there will be no challenges or obstacles in this coaching journey. You're going to always have some challenges, always going to have some obstacles. You just have to learn how to get over them, all right? That everything will go as planned. Okay, you're in a relationship with a coach, everything's going to go smooth as a baby's behind. Not. Okay. There's a myth that life coaches have no problems themselves.
Ooh, come
Not.
on now.
Their lives are perfect. So that's why I'm going to you, Tiffany, because, you can help me with everything because you don't have no problems. You got everything under control. That's a myth.
It's a
You know.
Definitely a myth.
That's a myth.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a myth. Yeah. So what it is we're people helping people.
People.
That's
get
right.
We're
unstuck.
people serving people.
That's right.
Yes.
Right, and we're all learning, we're all growing.
Yes.
And the thing that another person can do is help you see another perspective.
Correct.
It can help keep you focused, help you have maybe a different reaction, help you realize that you have choices
And you have purpose.
and you have purpose. Yes.
If we can help people to understand, I'm just not convinced you're here to just sit around and watch TV all day every day. I'm not saying you can't watch TV for some downtime sometimes. But you were placed here for a reason, and I am convinced you're not leaving until you have accomplished your purpose in life. There is something that you are supposed to do in life before you leave. Now, if you don't know what that is, then you need to seek God for your purpose in life.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
your purpose may not be my purpose. My purpose may not be your purpose. Don't try to be like somebody else. That's not what God is saying for you to do. You need to hear what the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. And you know, a lot of times it's that still small voice.
Yes.
But if you're doing too much and you're not settling down where you can hear, you can't tell what you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
That's good. That's good. We talked last week on the show about, everybody's throwing this thing around now about living your best life. So we really talked about it last week about what does that really look like and what does that really mean? And at the crux of it all, that's what a life coach is help you live your best life in that moment for that season that you're in, because you're going to go through seasons.
Right.
You may have an issue this year. I've had seasons like that where I've had seasons of fruitfulness and everything was fine, and then all of a sudden,
Boom.
boom, right? And so then you need somebody else, to talk to. So it's to help you live your best life in this season.
Yeah. Coach Felicia.
Yes.
Can I tell you why I'm so passionate about life coaching?
Yes, please do.
It's because 3 years ago, I was stuck. I mean, I was overwhelmed. I knew I had a purpose. I knew I needed to be doing something. And I started to research. I'm a researcher. I started to research, and I'm a paper person. I had piles of paper stacked up and binders. But it was getting me nowhere because I had too much going on. I didn't know where to stop and where to start. Anyway, I hired a life coach. And I promise you, in 3 months, my life coach had me unstuck. Now, I did the work. I did all the work because I was ready to get unstuck. That's why I know that it works.
Yes.
That's why I'm so passionate about it. That's why I tell people, invest in yourself.
Yep.
If you're ready to make a change,
That's right.
and you're willing to do the work right now, your life can. I have not looked back.
That's
And
a
that's the
blessing.
thing.
It's a blessing.
It's like I had a mindset change. Like it just clicked forward.
Yes.
And I have not looked
That's
back.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Can you all share, Tiffany, why did you decide to why did you decide to use your testimony, your trial, as a way to now service others?
Because there's not a lot available for the men and women, because men go through depression from infertility and miscarriage as well. But there are not a lot of programs. There's just not a lot of help available to that group of people. So when I was going through it, it was very painful. It was a long process for me, but now looking back, I realize I went through it so that I can help
That's right.
others.
Someone
Because
else.
when I was going through it, all I had was myself and my Bible. That's all I had, because nobody around me, even if they had gone through that, they were not willing to walk me through it.
Right.
So I am that available person that's willing to walk people through it and kind of not make it easier, but make it more bearable.
Make it more bearable, and so that they won't feel alone.
Right.
They don't feel alone. What about you, Arnita? What about your journey has caused you to want to serve people in this capacity?
Because of my lived experiences. I know I keep saying it, but To be repetitive is not just being repetitive. In this case, I have lived it. And I need people to understand it's okay if you need help. Bottom line. When I look at,
Is it okay for them to have medication?
it is definitely okay to have medication. And I want to use my most recent hospitalization in 2016 when I was grief stricken because I had attended too many funerals within a short period of time. But I have a history behind that. So as a 6-year-old child, I lost a cousin that was dear to me. And from that, apparently years later, it triggered something in me when I lost my father and I was going through divorce. I had a double loss. It triggered something in me. So that's why I say it's okay if things happen like that and something snaps within you and you're not yourself, you need help. It's okay to see the doctor. It's okay to get medication. It's okay to see a therapist and get healed.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
And for myself, the reason why I've chose to use my life's experiences to help people, because when it comes to abuse, familial abuse, a lot of times we don't want to speak anything negatively against mothers and fathers. That's taboo. We don't talk about mama and daddy, or sexual abuse of any kind, incest, rape, molestation, that sort of thing. And most people suffer in silence.
That's
and
right.
I'm really
That's
on
right.
I'm
Good
really
point.
on a
Let's-
trying to
let's
vindicate.
put it on the table. Let's-
Trying to do away with that
Yes.
that suffering in silence.
right.
And it is hard enough. I mean, I can recall, being molested and being raped, being silenced during that invasion. During that invasion.
Sure.
And so and now you're gonna tell me I still can't speak, even after it's over. I still can't
Wow.
speak. So I'm trying to annihilate
That's right.
Yes.
That
The
makes
silence.
sense. That makes
Yes.
sense.
and give them their voice back.
Yes.
I remember
I agree.
Maya Angelou, when her wasn't her stepdad or uncle, whoever it was that molested her, she went mute for
Yeah.
years,
Yes.
and she started writing all
Is this
the
the I Know Why the Cage Bird
Yes.
Sing story?
Yes.
Yes.
But I've heard her speak on it several times. But I'm just showing people how that silence is so real.
Yes,
like
it
she
is.
physically
Oh, yeah.
went mute
Yes.
until she rebirthed
freed
it in her
herself.
writing.
Yes.
And so so it's just to give voice back, and so that you can be heard. I know it hurt. I know it took something from you. It's almost like you were transported, depending on the the violation, who it was, how it
Right.
happened, all that kind of stuff. And so to give voice to that and then help bring that up and out, because as long as it's still in you, then it's going to show up in your behavior,
That's
your
right.
interactions and things. For years, my husband would come in and be playing or whatever and snatch the covers off of me, and I would
Right.
freeze. That let me know it was still stuck
was
in my
still there.
body.
It was
It's
still
still
there.
stuck in. Don't do that. It's certain things I do not do that.
That was that trigger, though.
It was a trigger. It was that place where I was stuck. So anyway, just so that.
Yeah. And I just want to say that somebody out there wants to hear our authentic stories.
Correct.
They want to hear the real,
That's the truth.
raw truth from
Yep.
somebody.
That's right.
Time out for all this pretending and
Yep.
all this. I ain't never done nothing wrong, and I ain't
I
never
know
been
better.
through nothing. You know what? People need to hear our stories.
Yeah.
And that's a part of our life culture. We're not going to disclose every single detail, but we do want to self-disclose
Correct.
and let people know that I know what you're going through.
That's
Because
right.
I've been through
there,
it.
done that.
Right, Tiff?
That's right.
Been there and done that.
Yeah, somebody's waiting to hear our stories.
That's the truth.
And for those who don't want to hear the stories, you don't have to hear
That's
the
right.
stories.
Yeah, and it's scriptural, because I'm the walking Bible over here, and they overcame them by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of their testimony.
That's
Yes.
the truth. Show you right.
Show you right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I think we have had a good discussion here. We have a plethora of people who have joined us online and across the nation. And I'm going to continue to loop this in and play it and put it on my podcasting channel. And I'll send you all the soundbite where you can put it on your websites and things like that, so that this can really get out, because even if we have reached one soul today, it has been well worth it. And so if you all need to contact any one of us before we close, we'll give our contact information. I am Felicia Wilkerson, and you can find me at FeliciaWilkerson.com. That's FELICIA Wilkerson, WILKERSON.com, for a free consultation, or if you just would like to talk, that's my that's my website.
I am Jan Bennett Burks. You can find me on J Burks, that's JBIRKS Consulting at yahoo.com. J Burks Consulting at yahoo.com.
Thank you.
I am Tiffany Miller Harris, and you can contact me at tmharris2005 at gmail.com. That's TMHARRIS 2005 at gmail.com.
And I am Arnita Ware, and you can find me at justrightforinsight at gmail.com. And the website is justright4insight.com.
Thank you. And just to let you all know that we are all published authors, and so you can read more about our journey in our publications. The name of my first book is called Why Not Me? Hurt, Healed, and Totally Free.
And my book is Hope Next Exit. Hope Next Exit.
Are you on Amazon?
Not that book.
Oh, okay. My
Tiffany
book
will
is
tell
on.
you about the next one.
Oh, okay. My book is on Amazon too. And Tiffany?
My book is Testimonies of Trials and Triumphs, and it's by the Glam Girls of Grace and Faith, and you can find it on Amazon.
All right.
And my book is Look Through the Window by Arnita Ware, and it is on Amazon.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You gotta leave. About 3 minutes.
That worked out.
And my day continues.
All right.